Good evening. Welcome to our online information session for Mathematics and Physical Sciences, hosted by Professors Chris Butler, Gary Chotner, and Greg Tochtrup. I'm Jeff Walkowitz, Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and I'll be collecting your questions via email to be answered live during our session. If you have a question for our hosts, please send it to summerreghelp@case.edu with the subject line, Info Session. You may send your questions at any time during our broadcast. Now to your hosts, Professors Butler, Chotner, and Tochtrup.
Good evening. My name is Chris Butler, and I'm from the Applied Mathematics and Statistics Department. And I'm going to start off the evening talking a little bit about the Applied Mathematics and Statistics Department. The first thing I want to talk about is our different degree programs. Within our department, we actually have 7 different degrees that you can get. We have a BA with major in mathematics, a BA with teacher certification, a BS in mathematics, a BS in applied mathematics, a BS in mathematics and physics, a BA with major in statistics, and a BS in statistics. As you can see, we have many, many different programs, and you might be wondering, well, how does that influence what classes I should take my first semester? Well, thinking about it, your first semester schedule, the primary resource that you should use is the FYR guide. It will list all the different majors, all the different degree programs, and what different courses that you should take. When you're building your schedule, you should work around 14 to 17 hours, 4 to 5 courses. That should be your base. The things that you should think about are your general education requirements. You're going to need to be taking a SAGES class. You're going to need to satisfy art and humanities requirements, natural and mathematical sciences, social sciences, quantitative reasoning, global and cultural diversity, and physical education. So as you set your schedule, you want to make sure that you're looking at all those different possibilities. For example, if you were going to do a BA in mathematics, that would be your first semester fall schedule. A SAGES class, a math class, humanities, maybe engineering 131, a cultural and diversity, natural mathematical science course, and phys ed, somewhere between 14 and 17 hours. Whereas if you were doing a BS in applied math, basically the same, SAGES, math, probably a science sequence, either chemistry, geology, something like that, and again, humanities, global cultural diversity, social science, and phys ed. And if you look, the semester for fall and spring is listed, and it's sort of 14 to 17 your first semester, 17 to 19 your second semester. And this is one for physics and math and physics. Now let me spend a little bit of time about really what's important. First off, you're going to have to decide which math class to take. I'm assuming all of you have already taken the math diagnostic test. That will tell you whether or not you're going to start in Math 120 or in a calculus sequence. If you're going to start in Math 120, then that's the course you should choose. If you don't feel that it's appropriate for you to start in a pre-calculus class, we're going to offer another diagnostic test on the Friday before classes start. There's something on the freshman checklist if that's what you want to do. Now, if you're going to start in a calculus sequence, we actually have 3 different sequences. Math 125, 126, our Math 121, 122, 223, 224 sequence, and an honor sequence of Math 124, 227, 228. Let me go through each one of these and tell you why you might choose one over the other. The Math 125, 126 sequence is for those students that are going to be majoring in business, social science, humanities, something like that. That's a sequence that's appropriate if you only need 2 semesters of calculus for your degree program. The next sequence, the Math 121, 122, 223, 224 is if you're studying engineering, mathematics, physics, any degree program that requires 4 semesters of calculus. And then the last one, the Math 124, 227, 228, is by invitation. So you'll get invited to take that sequence, and if you feel that's appropriate for you, that's the one that you sign up for. Now, that's sort of horizontally, right? You should choose one of those 3 sequences. Now we need to see where you would start. Well, that depends on how much AP credit you have. If you've taken the AB calculus exam and got a 4 or 5, that would test you out of the first course, either Math 125 or Math 121, and then you would start in the second course, Math 126 or 122. If you got a 4 or 5 on the BC exam, that would give you 8 credits. So if you were in the Math 125, 126 sequence, you would be done with your calculus. If you're in the Math 121, 122, 223, 224 sequence, you would start in Math 223 and move from there. If you were in the 124, 227, 228 sequence, you would start appropriately. Math 124 is a second semester calculus class, 227 is a third semester class, 228 is a fourth semester class. Now, a lot of the questions I get is, hey, I took the AB exam, I got a 4, but I'm really not sure I want to use my credit. My advice to you is try. If you got a 4 or 5 on the AB exam, try Math 122. See how it is. If it's fine, that's great. If it seems like it's going to be too much for you, come see me, talk to me, and we'll see about if you should move back to the previous course. If you do move back, you would lose your AP credit. Not a big deal. We can go from there. Now, lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the undergraduate opportunities. Within the math department, we have a bunch of things you can do as an undergraduate. Certainly, we have research. Several of our faculty members have undergraduates working with them on research projects. I personally hire what are called SI leaders, supplemental instruction leaders. They're upperclassmen that have taken the calculus sequence, they sit in on the class, and they help run tutoring and help sessions for the students in there. Of course, we have study abroad, co-op. We actually have a very active math club, Pi Mu Epsilon. Pi Mu Epsilon is the National Math Honor Society. They meet bi-weekly. They do problem sessions, things like that. And the math department also goes to many math competitions. There's one that the MAA puts on for the Ohio section. I think they're not going to invite us back in a few years because for the last 7 years, we've won the competition. In the last 3 years, I think we've taken first, second, and third with our teams. So we've been doing quite well with those. And lastly, I'd like to give you an idea of some of the different classes that we teach after calculus, because the world doesn't end with calculus. So some of the classes, knot theory, scientific computing, cryptology, math in the brain, Fourier, data mining. As you can see, there are quite a few classes that are beyond calculus. You're just starting in calculus. So if you want to take more classes in math, we have quite a few more for you. And we'd love to hear from you. If you do have questions, you can either write in tonight, or if you don't write in tonight and you want to send me questions, I have the easiest email address of anybody at the university. My email address is just chris@case.edu. So if you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them and help out in any way I can. Next, we'll go over to Greg.
I have an equally easy email address. It's greg@case.edu.
I think Chris is easier.
So I'm going to talk about chemistry and this thing called chemical biology that hopefully will become a little bit more clear as to what that is in a minute. There are 3 degree programs that are offered in the Department of Chemistry. If you don't flip to the slides, there's a Bachelor of Arts in Chemistry, a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, and then a Bachelor of Arts in Chemical Biology. And I'll talk a little bit about what chemical biology is exactly. In preparing for this, I tried to anticipate some common questions that students might have as they're preparing to register this summer. So I think that probably a big one is going to be, do I receive credit for my AP/or IB examination? What are the course sequences for different majors? Should I retake 105, Chem 105, or Chem 113 if I get AP credit for it? What exactly is chemical biology? And I think the last one that I anticipate is, should I plan on taking organic chemistry in my first year if I can? And I'll try to address each one of these individually, but the first thing that I want to tell you is that most of the answers to the questions that I'm going to talk about, and probably most departments on campus, can be found at their websites. And so I'm going to walk through the first two questions via the website. So if you go to case.edu/artsci/chem, and you just look at, there's going to be, I have it marked with an arrow, undergraduate programs, and then in very small writing you can see that there's a subheading called AP credit. If you click on that, it'll tell you all of the aspects of how you get AP credit. This will be updated in about a week to include IB credit. So basically, if you get a 4 or 5 on your AP chemistry exam, you will get credit for Chem 105, which is the first semester of general chemistry, and Chem 113, which is the general chemistry laboratory. And it's the same thing if you have taken the IB test and scored either a 5, 6, or 7 on the HL IB test. So, you know, a second example of things you could ask the website instead of asking individuals, because they're there at 3 in the morning if you want to ask them. What are the course sequences for an individual major? So I go and I click on undergraduate programs. I just click on that, and then let's say that I'm interested in a BA in chemistry, and it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this, and it's going to give you a brief overview of what are the courses that are required in the context of what are the specific chemistry courses I have to take, what are my general education requirements that I have to take, what are the other science and math courses I have to take, and then how many hours do I have free to do other stuff that I'm interested in. And then so I point to one useful thing that we have on our website. There's another arrow right there, and it gives you sort of a sequence of courses of how you would take them during your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior years. And I know this is you know, getting ahead of ourselves, but I think that as you're thinking about your first semester at Case, I think that it's a useful thing. Okay, so I think that the AP or IB credit questions is probably the question that I get the most for incoming students. So the scenario is that you get either a 4 or 5 on your AP exam, or a 5, 6, or 7 on the HL IB exam. Should I retake Chem 105, the first semester of general chemistry, and or Chem 113, the lab, if I have AP credit? Up until 2 years ago, we would give credit for 105 and 106, which is the second semester of general chemistry. And what we found is that students that would take AP credit for both 105 and 106 would not do very well when they would matriculate into organic chemistry. And so we tried to address this 2 ways. The first thing that we did is we are now requiring students to take part of a general chemistry course, which is the second semester, Chem 106, on campus. But even more importantly, what we have done is that we now offer organic chemistry both the first and second semester each semester. So you can get started getting done with your chemistry requirements earlier by taking your AP credit for Chem 105, taking Chem 106 in your fall semester, and then you'll be set up to take the first semester of organic chemistry, which would be Chemistry 223 in your spring semester of your first year. If you want to flip back to the slides, the other question that we get is, should I retake 113? And that's the laboratory for general chemistry. And the department has some very unified advice on this point. If you are planning on going on and taking the organic chemistry laboratory or any other chemistry laboratory past 113, we strongly advise to retake 113. The second question that we get a lot is, can I take engineering 145 if I have AP credit? Because if you start going through the websites and going through the prerequisites for 145, you will see that the prerequisites for 145 are Chem 111, which is the engineering chemistry course, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and or Chem 105 and Chem 106. It should be updated soon, if not already, that another prerequisite for 145 is that if you get a 4 or 5 on your AP exam, you can go right into engineering 145. The third question on getting credit, are there proficiency exams? Yes, there are proficiency exams for Chemistry 105, Chemistry 106, and Chemistry 111, which is the first semester engineering chemistry course. Those will be given the Saturday before classes begin, and you'll get more information from undergraduate studies on that. So the second to the last question that I'm going to talk about is, what is chemical biology? So we have a relatively new major in the department. It's chemical biology. And the standard question that I always get is, what exactly is chemical biology? Because if you think about chemistry and biology being pretty synergistic sciences, you'd say, oh, well, biochemistry would just lie right in the middle of it. And it turns out that that's not really the case. What's sort of happened over probably the past 20 to 30 years is that there's sort of been, to use an analogy of mission creep, is that biochemistry has really kind of transitioned more over to the biological world. And there's really been this sort of missing link, and that is this link between chemistry and biochemistry. And so there's some of the topics are shown here, and you can look these up later on the video if you're curious about it. But it's really trying to bridge that difference between the chemical science and the biochemical sciences. So should I plan to take organic chemistry in my first year? If you have credit for Chem 105 through AP, or if you took general chemistry at a college before coming here, we would strongly encourage you to enroll in the first semester of organic chemistry in the first semester of your sophomore year. If you have full credit from a college for Chem 105 and 106, then we would also encourage you as a freshman to go ahead and enroll in either Chemistry 223, which is the organic chemistry that the majority of students take, or Chemistry 323, which takes a little bit of a different approach. It's set for our Bachelor of Science majors and also our chemical biology majors. So what are the differences between the organic offerings? So again, there's 223 and then 323. 323 is, again, for Bachelor of Science majors and for chemical biology majors. This just goes through the course sequence for either a BA or BS major. The major differences you're going to see if you are interested in a chemistry major and you think that you might want to be a Bachelor of Science major. And so, you know, this will sort of open up another series of questions in terms of, should I get a BA or a BS? And we can address these here if questions come up like that. But the guidance that I usually use is that if people think that they might be interested in going to graduate school in the science discipline they're interested in, then I would generally encourage them to get a Bachelor of Science degree. If they are interested in staying in the sciences but not necessarily in chemistry, if they're thinking about a pre-medical education or things along that line, I would generally encourage a Bachelor of Arts. And the main difference is going to be the math sequence for your first semester. If you are a Bachelor of Science major, you're going to be looking at the 121, 122, or if you're a Bachelor of Arts, you're going to be looking at the, I think that should be 120, 124, 125, isn't that right?
No.
Oh, 125, 126, sorry, okay. And then the only other difference in the second semester would be when you would start your physics. If you were thinking a Bachelor of Science, you would start physics second semester. And then the chemical biology degree is pretty much set in terms of the guidance that we give, and the major difference being that you would take biology in your first semester. I think that finishes me off.
Hello, I'm Gary Chotner. I'm on the faculty in the Department of Physics here. I'm also the academic representative for the department, or one of several actually. I should just explain briefly what that means. Every department has an academic representative. You can find the list of those in the FYR guide, and I think you can also find it on the website of the Office of Undergraduate Studies. The academic representatives are the experts in the issues that concern undergraduates. So if you have questions about physics, you could look in there and you would see that I'm the person to contact. And if you have questions about any other department on campus, look up the academic representative rather than the department chair, actually. And that'll be the person who can best address the questions that you're likely to have. So in any case, most of the questions that you might have are probably addressed on our own website. And if you look at the slides, you'll see that the address is given there. And I'll show you some screenshots of our website in a moment. What I want to focus on today, at least at first, are not the majors in physics, although I'll get to those, but the questions about what should students in general at CWRU do when it comes to physics. So I'll talk about the different introductory physics sequences, both for majors and non-majors. I'll talk about AP credit, transfer credit, and proficiency exams. I will talk a little bit about our degree programs and typical first semester schedules for physics majors. Again, I'll focus on the first semester because that's what you need to worry about now. There's plenty of time to think about what you'll be doing in the spring semester in later years. And I'll also talk just a little bit, or show you where to get more information about undergraduate research, co-op, study abroad, etc. But in any case, if you have any questions about anything you hear today or anything you don't get to ask today, contact me. You can see my email address up there, GSC2, which means I was the second person at CASE with the initials GSC. So, physics at CWRU, independent of your intended major. Now, one of the nice things about CWRU is that many of our courses have the same requirements for the first semester, even the first year. So if you're in almost any of the technical degree programs like engineering, math, astronomy, etc., chemistry, then your choices are what math course will you take, and that will be determined by the process that the math department has set up. Which of two chemistry courses are you going to take? And I'll talk more about your options there in a moment. You'll take a SAGES first seminar and then some questions. The questions for engineers would come down to physics or a computer science course, Engineering 131 or EECS 132, MATLAB or a Java course. And what you should do there is refer to the FYR guide, because you should know that it's not the physics department that decides which physics course you should take. It's the department that you might major in. And even if you aren't certain of your major, look up the possibilities and see what those departments recommend. You'll see that some of them, physics for example, astronomy, but also mechanical and aerospace engineering, recommend that you do physics in the first semester. But many of them recommend that you do engineering 131 or EECS if you're going to be in computer programming in your first semester instead, and hold off physics for the second semester. In general, about half of all CASE students who take Physics 1 or physics for BS students, about half of them start physics in their first semester and about half start it in their second semester. So don't worry, unless you're in a major that suggests that you should take it first semester, don't worry if you need to start in that or if you should be doing computer science instead. Now, if you are considering a BS degree in engineering, certainly, but also in physics and many other majors, that would put you in the Physics 121 sequence, which is followed with Physics 122. But again, as I just pointed out, you may start that in your first or second semester for most majors. Again, if it's physics, we'd recommend you start it in the first semester, but there are students who can't because they don't have the background, the preparation, or because they're trying to do other things too. So in that case, you could delay the semester, but we'd recommend that you don't. Okay. If you are interested in a BA degree, for example, if you're interested in life sciences, medical school, etc., then the odds are that you won't be doing physics at all your first year. The odds are that you should instead be doing calculus your first year and then put off starting a Physics 115, 116 sequence until your sophomore or sometimes even your junior year. I should say that Physics 121 requires a background in calculus. Physics 115 has some calculus in it, but it's basically an algebra-based sequence, whereas Physics 121 and 122 are strictly calculus-based. You will be expected the first week of class, if we say take the derivative of x squared or the integral of x squared dx, you're supposed to know what that means and how to do that. If you don't register for Physics 121 the first semester, no matter what the FYR guide says. Okay? Take Math 121 first, and then delay taking Physics 121 until the spring semester. There are always ways to catch up. Okay? Summer school or just an extra technical course in your sophomore year. Okay? Now, AP credit, I'll say more about that in a moment. But if you have AP credit for Physics 121, you may start Physics 122 in the fall or the spring semester. You could start it immediately, or you could put it off for a semester if you wish. Okay? That's your choice. Okay? Another concern that students have, especially when you start registering this summer, it can look like courses are full. The limits for the physics courses are the lab sessions that we could run. But we will guarantee that every student who needs one of our introductory physics courses will have it during the semester when they need it. So they may fill up temporarily, but if we see, we'll be monitoring this in real time actually. So if we see the labs are filling up, we'll add more lab sections. So don't panic if you have one of these courses in your shopping cart and you find that when you go press the register button that it's full. See if you can find another section that isn't full and get yourself into that. If you can't find any that fit your schedule, there's a way to request a permit of the instructor, or just be patient because we'll be opening up more lab sections as they're needed. Now, some of you will be given an invitation to enroll in yet a third sequence, Physics 123/124, which we call our enhanced physics sequence. We don't like to call it honors. In fact, only about half of our own majors go through this sequence. The other half will go through the Physics 121, and some will even go through the Physics 115 sequence. So a question that often comes up is, well, should I accept this invitation if I get it? That's strictly a personal decision, but there is a web page. You'll see that there after the invitation only comment. Is Physics 123 right for you? So you can go to that website. You can find out more about the course. I could describe it briefly by saying if you have a love for physics, independent of whether you might major in physics. Most of the students in this course are not majoring in physics and don't intend to major in physics. But if you love physics, then you may want to go into Physics 123 instead. The students in this course all will have already completed a year of physics in high school. Many of them will have AP credit for Physics 121, but you will have to give up that AP credit if you accept the invitation to Physics 123. If you just think of physics as something that's required for your degree program, your major, then Physics 123 isn't right for you. Use your AP credit and start in the second physics course. Because in any case, if you take Physics 123 instead of using your AP credit, there will be a course at some point that you won't be able to take. A finite number of courses you can take. Physics 123 is not required for any major. It's not required for the physics major. And again, it means giving up your AP credit. There are two other courses I want to mention that if you are interested in physics, you should consider taking, again, independent of whether or not you might major in physics. None of our introductory courses gives you any sense at all of what it means to be a professional physicist. And so many departments, physics is one of them, have created a course designed to do that so that freshmen, before they commit to a major, can see what it is you might be getting into. So we created about a decade ago a course called Physics 166, Physics Today and Tomorrow. It's a one-credit survey of contemporary physics. And so each week a professional physicist will get up in front of the group, and usually there are about 60 students who will be entirely freshmen in the fall semester, and describe to you what it is they do. And most of these physicists may be members of our department, but there are also physicists in industry, in national labs, et cetera, to give you a sense of the breadth of opportunities of what it means to be a physicist. The next course I've listed here is Astronomy 151, which is an equivalent course for astronomy majors, and that's in the spring semester, so you don't have to worry about that now. But that's designed to give you a sense of what it would mean to be an astronomy major. And again, it's a one-credit course, so it's easy enough to fit into your schedule without going above the recommended total number of credits. Now, what I want to do is quickly, it will be hard for you to see this slide when it comes up, I think, but this is a screenshot of our website. The key thing there is to be able to navigate or find with the search engine the website, which is www.phys.cwru.edu. The information that you will need as undergraduates, you can find under academic programs next to the red arrow. That will call up a list that says either courses, websites for our courses, or undergraduate or graduate. So you'll click on undergraduate, and that will take you to the following page, undergraduate programs. And this is a website that I maintain personally. And you'll see there, if you can read them, the major titles are degree programs, which I'll focus on in a moment, which will show you all the options for physics degree programs, and there are several. It will call up a page of the course descriptions, which are basically the general bulletin descriptions of each of the courses we offer, but also something else you might find useful is a link to the syllabi for our courses. So there's a search engine there that you can use to call up the detailed syllabi of each course to see what those courses might entail. The next link I'll also show you what that looks like in more detail is the introductory physics. And so this describes all the policies with regard to AP credit, proficiency exams, transfer credit, etc. The next link will take you to pictures, email addresses of physics majors at CWRU. This page is limited to people who log in through CrewNet. It'll also take you to a list of all the destinations where our alumni have gone, what jobs have they gotten, what graduate programs have they gotten into. So you might find that interesting. The link after that provides a lot of details about undergraduate research and senior projects. Every student at CWRU does a capstone project. And in the sciences, that generally means a research project. So every physics major certainly does a research project in their senior year. But a lot of students are interested in getting involved in research before their senior year. And so this page shows you mechanisms for doing that. Next is an undergraduate newsletter with lots of information about the department, comings and goings, jobs, etc., courses that will be taught or perhaps not offered. So that might be interesting to you, but probably not until unless you declare a physics major. Study abroad opportunities, where our majors have gone, what course credits they've gotten, etc. And then our own physics and astronomy club. So let's focus in now on what's of interest to most CWRU students is what are the introductory physics sequences. Okay, I've already described the Physics 115, 116 for BA majors or life science students, and 121, 122 General Physics 1 and 2. Our AP credit policies, if you click on that link, you would find out all the details. In general, you can think of it this way. If you take and earn a 4 or a 5 on the AP Physics B exam, that's an algebra-based exam. So that gives you credit for the first semester course, mechanics, in our Physics 115, 116 sequence. Be aware, the School of Engineering does not accept that for their degree programs. And a BS in chemistry or a BS in some other disciplines may not accept that. Again, that's not the physics department that says that. That's the major department. So if you are intending to pursue a BS, then you would need credit for Physics 121, but you can achieve that or earn that if you've taken and earned a 4 or a 5 on the Physics APC exam. Okay? And again, if you go to this website, you'll see similar policies for IB and Cambridge International exams. Now, if you don't earn credit through an AP exam, but you think you know the material, our department, like all the others that you're hearing about, math and chemistry, offer proficiency exams for introductory courses. The physics proficiency exams will be on the Thursday before classes start. If you go to this website, you'll see all the policies of proficiency exams, and you'll actually see sample proficiency exams. So you can judge for yourself whether you think you can pass these exams. I should warn you that fewer than half the students who take it pass it, but there's no penalty in trying. So if you think you know the material, if you didn't receive credit for Physics 121, for example, and you think you know the material well enough, try the proficiency exam. We don't give credit for the second course in these sequences because our experience, as you've heard, chemistry has found out, our experience is that we cannot trust the high school AP courses to teach it as well as you need. But if you earned a 4 or 5 on the AP English exam, the AP E&M exam, and you want to demonstrate that and skip the Physics 122 course, you can do that by passing that proficiency exam. So just look at the sample exams on our website and contact me. The instructions are there on the website to register for the exam. Okay. The other thing is transfer credit. If you've taken a course in a college, a local college, etc., then it may be possible that you can transfer some credit. The next thing I wanted to mention, and again, you won't be able to read this, I'm sure, on most of the screens you're looking at, is our undergraduate programs website. But let me just run through the main categories. The first one under undergraduate programs says advice for majors and potential majors. So if you are considering a major in physics, you might want to click on that link because there are 2-3 pages of all the if, ands, or buts, the things that you should consider, some of which I'll address today, but certainly more than I can address today will be on that page. Below that are the various degree programs. The first one that's listed is our Bachelor of Science, and just as you heard for chemistry, we think of our Bachelor of Science as professional preparation. for people who intend to be a professional physicist. So you'll get both a breadth of courses and depth in those courses to prepare you for graduate school or for a position immediately after finishing your degree. This, by the way, doesn't mean that none of the other degree programs do that. In fact, which of these degree programs you choose doesn't limit your options at all, as long as you make other wise choices in your elective. So you can do a BA degree and certainly go to the best graduate schools in the world. Okay. But in any case, after our BS, we have a couple of variations on that. We have a BS in mathematical physics with a concentration in mathematical physics. And that's a degree program designed to train future theoretical physicists. We have also a biophysics concentration. In fact, our newest hire, who will join the department this fall, is a biophysics theorist. Beneath that, you'll see a degree BS in mathematics and physics. And Professor Butler mentioned that a few minutes ago. And people sometimes get confused. What's the difference between the math concentration and the math and physics degree? By the way, the math and physics degree is a single degree. It's not a double degree. It's a single integrated degree in mathematics and physics. It's designed for students who are interested in physics for its own sake and in mathematics for its own sake. Both departments share control over this, but the math department controls the mathematics education you'll get, and you'll have an advisor in both departments. The math concentration, by contrast, is our own degree, the physics department's degree, and we decide, or we advise you at least, on what math you might need to do physics. If you're interested in math for its own sake, it might have no relation to doing physics. Okay. The next course on this list is the engineering physics major. A lot of students, I know this happened to me, I was torn as an undergraduate between majoring as an electrical engineer or a physicist, and I didn't have the option to do something that combined both, but you do. We have an engineering physics major, which unlike all of our other majors, is actually housed in the Case School of Engineering, just like all the other engineering degree programs. You can choose this degree program and be an engineer. You will actually have a concentration in one of the traditional disciplines like electrical or computer science or mechanical aerospace and have a set of courses in those, but your degree will read engineering physics. So that's a way to have what I would describe as the best of both worlds. Beneath that on this list is our BA degree, and the way I would describe our BA degree is maximum flexibility. With the BA degree, you can use that flexibility to take physics. And you can get as deep and as broad a physics education as someone with a BS degree. But it's really designed for students who have many different interests, okay, and who would like to combine an interest in physics with an interest in, say, music. That's a common one, as is, I think, math and music. But physics and anything else is much easier to do if you have a BA degree, or physics and the courses you need for medical school, et cetera. So a BA degree is for someone who has lots of interests they'd like to pursue. There are lots of open electives in this program, so you can choose the BA if that's what you think you would like to do. So this is, I think, my last slide, and it ends with advice for first-year students. First of all, don't worry much about which degree program you'll pursue, in physics especially, but in any of the allied technical disciplines. The first-year courses are almost all the same. The big choices a physics major has to make, or a potential physics major, is Chem 105 versus Chem 111, because the Case School of Engineering prefers or requires the Chem 111 Engineering 145 track. So if you're at all tempted by engineering, start down that track, do Chem 111. If you're not the least bit tempted by engineering, then start down the Chem 105, Chem 106 track, because that's probably a little better for most physicists. The other choice you have to make is Engineering 131 versus EECS 132, which is a relatively new course. The School of Engineering, or the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, recommends EECS 132 for students who might major in computer science, computer software, et cetera. So if you think you might major in that, either within the engineering physics program or in the BA program, you can actually do that too, then you will choose EECS 132. Otherwise, Engineering 131 is probably the better course for most physicists. So your first semester at Case, if you're interested in physics as a major, would be math course, okay, chosen by the system that Professor Butler described, a physics course, a chemistry course, your SAGES first seminar, Physics 166 ideally. If you're invited to take Physics 123, consider it seriously. Look at the posting I directed you to. Contact me, contact the instructor for the course, and we'll try to answer any questions you have, okay? And that's it.
So I was going to say one thing, picking up on the end of Dr. Chotner's discussion of Chem 111 versus 105, and I was going to save this to the end because this is the most important question you have to ask. If you don't have AP credit and you need to choose between Chemistry 105, which is the first semester of a 2-semester sequence, which is Chem 105, 106, and then Chem 111, which is engineering chemistry, I think that Dr. Chotner said it perfectly, is that if you think that in any way, shape, or form that you may be headed down the track of the School of Engineering, you take Chemistry 111 and then Chemistry 145 in your spring semester. And I wanted to address one common question that comes up with this, that people are wondering about pre-medical requirements, is that they're interested in pursuing pre-medical studies, but they're also interested in getting an engineering degree. And how does Chemistry 111 and Engineering 145 count towards that? Typically that is counted towards your first, so if you look at all the pre-medical requirements, you need a year of general chemistry, a year of organic chemistry, a year of physics, a year of calculus, a year of biology, and now a semester of biochemistry. The Chem 111, Engineering 145 counts as that sequence for your first year of chemistry. So.
And going with that also, if you're considering whether or not you should take the Math 125, 126 sequence, or in the Math 121, 122 sequence, the general thought is, if you might need more than 2 semesters of calculus, you should be in the 121, 122, 223, 224 sequence. If you're sure you'll only need 2 semesters, then 125, 126 is fine. But if there's any chance that you might need more than 2, you should start in Math 121. Because Math 121, 122 would cover any major, where 125, 126 only covers certain majors. So if you have a choice and you're thinking about maybe a major that would require more than 2 semesters, you should start in Math 121.
Thank you. There was lots of important information that you shared. We have several questions that have come in. The first question is from Colleen, and Colleen has asked, if a first-year student is interested in taking a 300 level class their first semester and has fulfilled all the prerequisites, would you recommend that she or he take that, and why or why not?
That would be risky, but it depends a lot on the discipline. If you're talking about physics, that's what I would be most expert in, that would certainly be a very risky thing to do. We'd want to talk to you in detail. No, you have advisors. Well, actually, your official advisor will be your SAGES First Seminar advisor. So if it were a physics course, and I suspect the same thing would be true of math or chemistry or any other department, you should talk to the academic representative of that department to get a sense for the wisdom of starting off your first semester in a 300 level course.
We actually have usually 5 or 6 students that would start in a 300 level course because through AP credit and courses they've taken in high school, they've completed their 4-semester calculus sequence and they start in a 300 level course. Just be sure those courses are usually for juniors and they're not going to be that easy. So you should really, as Gary said, talk to somebody before you make that decision.
So I've taught Chemistry 323 for the last 4 years. That's the BS level organic chemistry. And each year, I would say on average I have anywhere between 2 and 4 incoming freshmen. And I think that I have tried to pay attention to how those students have done, and I would say that it's on both ends of the spectrum. I've had examples of students that did awesome, just totally kicked everybody else's butt in the class, and that's because they had awesome preparation. And then I had some people that struggled significantly and dropped out. So I think that a lot of it depends on how confident you are in your preparation and if you think you're ready for it. I personally, the advice you're going to get from me as the academic representative for chemistry is give it a shot.
Great, thank you. We have another question, this from Xavier. Xavier says he has transfer credit for Chem 105, Chem 106, and Chem 113. He's planning to major in biomedical engineering, and it requires Chem 111. He asks whether his transferred classes will satisfy Chem 111 or whether he'll need to take that course at CWRU.
You got it. You're good. So 105, usually, so you're going to have to go into engineering 145, and you're probably going to want to do that in your your first semester, your freshman year. And if you look at the prerequisites for Engineering 145, it's going to be either Chem 111, Chem 106, or a score of 4 or 5 on your AP credits, on your AP exam. So you're in good shape.
Thank you. The next question is from Carter, and Carter says that he was placed into Math 120 for the fall, and he wants to know whether this is going to be a problem as he wishes to pursue a math or science major.
No, that won't be a problem at all. You'll start with Math 120, but as I said, we're going to give the diagnostic test again on the Friday before classes. So if you want to try, Carter, you can take the diagnostic test again to see whether or not you really should be in a calculus sequence. If not, you'll start in Math 120 your fall semester. You can take Math 121 the spring semester. You'll be one semester behind in your math, but overall, you're not going to be held up at all. You should be fine. You can either make it up in the summer between your freshman and sophomore years, or just make it up later on in your career here. But it would not cause you any trouble. It's my feeling is that it's like building a house. You want to make sure that the foundation is solid before you go on. And if you're at all shaky on the pre-calculus material, you want to make sure that that material is solid before you start calculus. So my recommendation is, let's make sure our pre-calculus is good before we go on.
Great, that sounds like very good advice. The next question is from Rachel, and Rachel wants to know what happens if she begins studying a field in one sequence, but then wishes to change to another major or that requires a different course sequence.
As I said, if you're at all interested in a sequence that requires 125, 126, or Math 120, 122, I would take the Math 121, 122 sequence, and then you won't have any trouble. If you start in the 125, 126 sequence and decide you wanted to become an engineer or a physicist or a mathematician, then we need to talk and see about how to make up for the courses that you've missed. But if you start in 121, 122, you won't have any trouble there.
So for Chem 105, 106, I think that 105 and 106 will give you access to pretty much everything. But if you do 105, 106, it'll put you a semester behind on the engineering track. So I think that, again, I will revert back to the advice that I gave in terms of if you at all think that you're interested in an engineering track, take Chemistry 111. And let's say, for example, that you wanted to then become a BA chemistry major. Then the requirements for a BA chemistry major are Chem 105 and 106, but what is the most common practice, at least in our department, is that we do a course substitution form when you get to the point where you want to graduate for Chem 111 counting for 105 and 106. That's not universal, but...
As you say, when it comes to physics, if the question were about the physics sequences, similar advice holds that if you do Physics 121, 122, the calculus-based sequence, they will substitute for the algebra-based sequence across the university, so that's the safer choice. Physics 115, 116, the reverse is not true. So for example, the School of Engineering will not accept it. But there are students who do something like this and then later on see that they need credit for the other sequence. And what they often do is take the proficiency exams in the other sequence. And many of them have done rather well because they completed a physics course here. So that's another option for earning that credit.
Great, thank you. The next question is from Kyle. And Kyle's question is specifically about the physics major. And that is, suppose he places into Physics 123, but chooses to take Physics 121 in the fall semester. Would he still have the option of taking Physics 124 if he feels prepared in the spring semester?
That's a tricky thing because if you complete Physics 123 and do well, you're automatically issued an invitation into Physics 124, which is again an invitation-only course. If you've completed Physics 121, you would have to ask the instructor for that course for permission to enroll. And you would have some problems because Physics 123, for example, includes some training in special relativity and general relativity, which are then used in the second course. And if you went through Physics 121, there's no guarantee that you'd have it. So if you're considering a physics major, then, and you have an invitation to Physics 123 and you'd like to do Physics 124, you should probably get into Physics 123. That said, there are about 1 or 2 students each year who do exactly what you suggested. They took Physics 121, then decided to be a physics major and wanted to get into Physics 124. And then you have to contact and meet with the instructor for Physics 124 and convince them that that's the best thing for you. Because remember, all these rules and policies are put into place to protect students so that you don't get in over your head or get into trouble. Okay? They're to help you succeed.
Our next question is from Amanda. It's a general question that really addressed to all of you. And that's, is it possible to study abroad while being a science major?
Together, yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And there's a system in place to see if you can get courses where you're studying abroad that will substitute for the ones that you are here. If you were to go to the physics department website, you would see some examples of that. Students who studied abroad in Germany or New Zealand or Australia or Chile or whatever, and the courses they took while they were abroad. And there are efforts at the university to expand those lists of institutions to make it easier for you to do just that.
Yeah, at least in chemistry, the BA degree is extremely straightforward. The BS degree is a little bit more challenging, but I think just this last semester I approved 2 sequences of courses to go towards a BS degree. So that was 2 students that were BS chemistry majors. So.
And the math department usually has 1 or 2 students each year that are studying abroad, and they basically just give us the course descriptions of the classes they want to take at the other university, and we approve them for their courses that they would have been taking here. So it's really no problem at all.
Thank you. This will be our last question, and then I'll give our hosts the opportunity to make any closing remarks that they would like. And this question is from James. And James' question is, I'm interested in teaching high school math or science after graduation. Are there any classes offered that will help me prepare for teaching?
Well, within the math department, we offer a class in the spring semester. It's called Math from a Mathematician's Perspective. And as you saw from my first slide, we have a BA with teacher certification, and part of that teacher certification, that class is required. So that class would give you a sort of an idea of what it's like to be a mathematician and what it's like to learn about math that's not calculus.
So I think that the Noyce Scholars Program is the formal description of the program that I think any of the a major in any of the sciences can dovetail into getting their teacher certification.
One of the scholarships we have is the Noyce Scholarship that students can get, that they can end up with a teaching certification, but that's not the only way that you can be certified. So.
Right. There's an education program that cuts across the science departments. You take the BA degree in physics or chemistry or biology or mathematics, and there's a set of about 10 courses, education courses that you take that lead to teaching licensure. So again, if you were to go to the physics department website, I didn't include this, but underneath the BA degree, there's a variation on that called the BA degree with teaching licensure. And that gives you the contact information for the person who runs this program across the science departments, not just in physics.
And we have something very similar on the chemistry department website. Right under the 2 BA and the BS degrees, there's a listing for the BA degree in chemistry with teaching licensure.
Before I close the session, I want to give you the opportunity, give our host the opportunity, if you have any closing remarks you'd like to make.
I'll start since I started before. We presented quite a bit of information this evening, and I'm sure that in some sense it's overwhelming. If you do have questions, obviously you can go to any one of our websites, the math department, physics department, chemistry department's website, or as I said, if you have questions about mathematics, you can send them to me at chris@case.edu. I'm happy to answer them, and I would try to help any way I can.
I guess I went second, and so I would say that My email address is greg@case.edu or talkshop@case.edu, and welcome to Cleveland. That's all I'd really say.
Okay. And I'll repeat something I said before, which is we're here to help you succeed. Don't be shy. Make use of the resources. Send me an email if you have any questions, but also don't be shy about contacting the instructors for courses if you have questions about whether that's the right course for you. So in the student information system list of the searchable schedule, you click on the instructor, and that opens up an email that you can send and ask questions. So I think you'll enjoy your time here at CASE. We really take pride in our interest in teaching undergraduates, okay, and we take it seriously.
Great. I'd like to thank our hosts for this evening and also thank our viewers for participating in our information session. If we didn't get to your question, you can expect a reply to your email shortly. Please note that we'll be hosting sessions each day this week through Friday. You can view the entire schedule and session archives on our website. There's also a direct link through the first-year registration item on the new student checklist. Please be sure to email us at summerreghelp@case.edu at any time with your questions, and have a great evening. Thank you.